Welcome everyone to episode 12. I'm going to be talking today about my Fibershed journey. But first, here's what's happening on the farm. It is finally becoming a little bit fall-like outside, although I think we are still going to have a couple of um, summer-like hot days. Our first Fiber Festival is coming up in 4 days, and it's supposed to be great weather. I think it's going to be like 72, 73. The morning, Saturday morning, is supposed to be 49. I don't even know when the last time it was that chilly. It's definitely going to be sweater weather. And so I hope people are, if you're local, I hope you're getting excited about coming to the Shenandoah Fiber Festival. So to that end, basically what's happening here on the farm is I'm dying because of the fall festivals. I'm twisting and I'm labeling and I'm photographing and I'm putting stuff up on the website. If you haven't been to the website in a while, go and check out some of the new colors that we have up there. And getting ready to pack up and hit the road and set up our booth at Shenandoah. So this season has been all about the hidden dangers and not so hidden dangers of fast fashion and the benefits of slow fashion. And I've really tried to give people step by step, small steps that you can take to change your wardrobe over. Because I know that it is a really big task. It's a really overwhelming task because I'm doing it too. I'm right there with you. I still have things that are plastic clothes. Um, I have things that, um, would be considered part of that fast fashion corporate machine. And I'm slowly turning that over to becoming more responsible, more mindful, and better for our environment. And I know I've talked a little bit about this before, but I kind of wanted to go into like my Fibershed journey, my creative journey. Um, I heard about the book, and I can't even really remember how I heard of it, but maybe it was on, Instagram or something like that. Um, and I read it, and I was totally inspired by it. And I believe this was probably early on in 2019, or maybe in the middle of 2019 is when I read it. Why was I inspired? Because um, some of the parts of it are horrifying to realize, to understand. The amount of pollution and the greenhouse gases that fashion produces. I mean, I've seen the pictures of, the dye polluting the streams and the dye polluting the people, but the level of the plastics in clothes and the health consequences about microplastics and the the sheer amount of textiles that are going into our garbage, um, that was just so alarming to me. And I hadn't really thought about clothing causing greenhouse gases. That was totally new for me. I've never been a big shopper, but when I looked in my closet while doing one of I think it's called the 7-day slow fashion challenge put out by fibershed.org. I knew that I have, and I had then, and I still have today, many items that are part of that problem. Now, of course, the fact that I have a regenerative source of material for slow fashion is a big help to me. And I could also see and can see that it is a way to sell more of my yarn. I know that, and I'm good with that. But more importantly, to me, it was to that I felt I needed to educate the public about some of the simple things that we can do that will help to avoid total environmental destruction if we can do them in time. So I made a commitment to provide Fibershed certified products for those people who are interested in local fiber, local labor, and local dyes. And I worked really hard with my local Chesapeake Fibershed um, to have a certified producer membership, so that we could say these people have certified products. They have products that are as local as they can be. Um, and so that was really important for me. And so if you're going to any of these shows and you come to my booth, you will see that I do have many certified Fibershed products in my product line. Um, and so my creative journey through reading this Fibershed book, my creative journey has somewhat met up with some kind of activism. Like I feel like I need to take action and help other people to take action about this. Like many of you, I started making textiles as a Girl Scout. I can't remember if it was when we were brownies or when we were juniors. My best friend's mom, she kind of helped us with our badge, and she helped us to to learn how to sew buttons and to sew our badges onto our sashes so that we were more independent. My mother had always sewn clothes for us, and she taught me how to do crewel embroidery and how to sew. And I think I've talked about this in one of the earlier episodes that I was famous for making pot holders for Christmas. That was one of the things that I did. It's just a square that's stuffed, and it was easy to do with when I was 9 and 10 and even 11, I think probably. The next textile tradition that I tried was needlepoint, and I think I just loved needlepoint because of the stores. Oh my God, just with their whole wall of color. I just was so seduced. I just, I would go in and buy more and more canvases because I just wanted to be in the presence of all that color. I probably should have gotten a job there as much as I loved that wall of color. Um, and then as an adult, I learned how to weave and then dye, and I started to learn about natural dyeing. I've told you all the story as well that I learned how to spin after winning a spinning wheel in a raffle. So if you really don't want to learn that craft, don't buy a raffle ticket. And I picked up quilting because it seemed at the time it was just a kind of a little bit easier than weaving. It didn't require the same commitment as weaving. You could just sit at the sewing machine and doodle around on it, and it didn't require the same kind of planning that weaving requires. My last textile skill was to learn knitting. I felt like I had to know how to knit in order to answer your questions. People are constantly asking questions about, how much yarn do I need for a scarf? How many skeins do I need for a scarf? Well, if I don't know how to knit, I can't answer that question. Um, I started to work a little bit with designers, but I found that so in many ways it was easier for me to just design it myself, and if I could knit it myself, with out of my own yarn, then I felt that I could help someone else when they were having problems. It's a lot harder. Some of my patterns that the samples that I have, the patterns that are designed by designers, I can't do them. They're above my skill set, and so I can't answer questions. And so that's a little bit harder for me. And like right now I'm back into the making a practice of natural dyeing. I have a long way to go to really be an expert, but I'm working consistently and mastering those skills as well, not only with local forage dyes or local dyes that we're growing from seed, but also using dye extracts and powders that come from other countries like cochineal and Kutch and um, some of the like Brazil woods, logwoods, those kind of things that are coming from other countries. So I know in this whole season, we've talked a lot about the challenges of the Fibershed, and the biggest challenge really is the breaks in the supply chain. We simply don't have local textile mills that can supply the needs of our area. And in reality, we don't have textile mills that can really meet the needs of our nation. That's why so much of our textiles are outsourced. Another challenge is to develop a full spectrum of color from local sources. It's difficult. It takes a lot of experimentation, and it takes a lot of commitment in time and energy and resources to develop the colors for natural dyeing. And also, consumers really want to have something that is color fast, and they want something that's light fast. If they buy yarn or they buy a sweater that is, let's say it's a beautiful gold color, they want it to remain that beautiful full color the entire time. But some natural dyes just aren't all that color fast, and they're just not that light fast. And I think it's going to take a shift in attitude to for people to really revel in the full cycle of color from the vibrant to the pastel as our clothes age. And also even maybe getting into the habit of, after some time, if the garment is still wearable and you still love it, that you over dye it and bring it back to life in a different way. But that's a whole nother attitude change, I think, with the public. But what about the opportunities? So what I have found, the opportunities are to connect with other like-minded people by developing a community where we can work together and we can collaborate together and we can celebrate the clothing that we make and wear. And we're doing that in the Chesapeake Fibershed. We have our Sustainable Cloth Challenge, and so we are developing a community. I'm working with 2 other people. I'm collaborating on natural dye processes, and you can read about those on the Chesapeake Fibershed website. We can share knowledge with each other. We can share seeds with each other. We can share dye stuffs in time of bounty. For instance, it's about time for the black walnuts to start falling. And we will always have a gracious plenty of those if people want them. And if you're local, reach out. I will definitely let you have some. And that's one of the easier natural dyes to work with because you don't need to do a separate mordant on it. And we can celebrate our local place with all the local fiber that is in our area, the local dyes that we can find in our area, and then we are the ones that can supply the local labor. So what is the current state of my slow wardrobe? Well, right now I have a lot of sweaters. I have a lot of sweaters that are local fiber made from my yarn and that's been mill spun, or it's made from my wool that's been hand spun by me. Not all of them have been naturally dyed, so they aren't specifically Fibershed, but they are definitely local. The lighter weight items that we need in the summertime that are made with linen and cotton that we don't grow and process locally, I have those, but I buy them fair trade. I have not found a local source at this point that makes something that is like a nice clothing weight to wear that's totally local. And I'm choosing to wear items longer, and I'm choosing to reduce the frequency of washing. And I'm only washing in cold water to reduce the number of microfibers. And really, there's still so much to do, which leads me into what am I working on now? So I have lots of plans for sewing linen items that are linen and cotton blends. These linens are coming from India. I have been paying special attention not to buy from China, but rather to buy from India. I don't know why. I just feel that way. I'm currently knitting a wool and mohair blanket that's local fiber. And while it's naturally dyed, it's not from local sources. So I do have those cochineals and those different wood dyes that were used for those skeins. And like I said, I'm working on improving my natural dye practice and widening out the colors of my Fibershed certified products. So here's the call to action for this time. If I've inspired you, I would love you to subscribe to the fibershed.org newsletter. And if I've inspired you, I would love you to find your local Fibershed affiliate. If you're local to me within 150 miles from DC, Chesapeake Fibershed is your local affiliate. So I would love you to subscribe to that newsletter there to find out what events that we have. We're still having Zoom meetups. We're starting to have some in-person events that are going to be really fun and promote community and of all like-minded individuals. And until next time, so the next few episodes that I'm going to have are conversations with people about their Fibershed and creative journeys. So stay tuned for those. And until then, happy making.